Please forgive the hot mess that is my life right now. Kitty is going nuts. My hair is all sorts of frizz from the summer humidity, but we're doing this anyway. So Rachel over at Colonnati is a very good friend of mine, and she just tagged me in a video. It's the library lovers tag, and I'm actually really excited to do this. I haven't done a tag in a long time, but this seemed appropriate. So let's get started, and then I'm taking you on a field trip. Okay, so I have the questions on my phone. I don't actually know where this tag originated from, but if I can dig it up, I will put it in the description down below. The first question is, how often do you visit your local library? I would say probably monthly. I am actually really inclined to use the online resources from my library, so checking out things like ebooks or audiobooks, and I'm less inclined to do physical books, but it definitely skyrockets during the summer. I happen to be in walking distance of my library, or at least one of my libraries. And so when it's nice out, I really like going for a walk to the library. It's just like a lovely way to spend an hour or two on an afternoon. So it's kind of spontaneous though. The second question is, are you the type of person who checks out more books than you know you can read? Or are you someone who only checks out the exact amount of books you intend on reading before they're due? No doubt about it, I am somebody who will check out more books than I am likely to read. This is particularly true for physical books. When I go into the library, I get like super grabby hands because I see the shelves and all of the books are out and like they're right there. I don't have to wait for them. So I definitely get a little bit book crazy in those moments. The other time that it happens is that I will put on like 6 books on hold for audiobooks through the library, and when that happens they tend to all come in at once, and it's like I'm never gonna read or listen to all of these before they're due. The third question is, how old were you when you got your first library card? I was probably 6 or 7, and it's a really funny story. I didn't get my first library card for the city that I lived in. At the time, I was spending my summers with my aunt up in kind of like a rural area, and her best friend who lived across the street had 2 daughters my age, 2 granddaughters my age. She took us all to the library, and I really wanted to check out books, and so she lied and said that she was my grandmother too, and then got me a library card. It was definitely like, it was a bald-faced lie, and the librarian knew it, but they let me do that anyway. So I used that library all summer long and had just like the best time because I was just a voracious reader as a kid. Okay, the fourth question is, do you go to your library looking for a particular book, or do you check out anything that piques your interest? When I actually go into the physical library, I do try to go with a book in mind, and generally I'll have looked it up online beforehand. But a lot of times once I get there, I just start browsing and grab whatever kind of strikes my fancy at the time. So I go there with a very clear purpose, and I leave. It's like Target, right? Like you go in, you're like, I need a thing of toilet paper, and you leave with 2 carts. It's so convenient, and like the librarians are always chatting with me, and I'm like, oh, you should read this book to somebody who will suggest something back. It's bad. Question 5. Do you use your library just for books, or do you also check out other items like DVDs or audiobooks? I've already mentioned that I use the audiobook system. I primarily do the one that is like downloadable to your phone because it's so convenient, and I go through audiobooks quite fast. When I'm actually there, I have a tendency to pick out movies or like PBS specials, something that I can't get on streaming, but that's fewer and far between. It used to be that I got almost all of my music through the library, and so I had like a ridiculous iTunes library that was all stuff that I downloaded from CDs that I'd taken out from the library, but I do that much less now that I'm not in college. Question 6 is, what sections of the library do you check out the most books from? Because I have been reviewing for so long and I have a lot of publishing contacts at this point, I actually don't pick out a ton of science fiction and fantasy books. Like, I just have a ton. So I'm actually most likely to go to the library and check out actual and physical book, stuff like YA, where I don't have necessarily the publishing resources, I don't necessarily want to invest the money, but where I am interested in the book. So I'll walk out with like 6 Frances Hardinge books. And 7 is, what is your favorite part of using your local library? This is hard to kind of describe. I worked in the library system for a long time. We have these things called homework centers here in Minneapolis and St. Paul. And so I tutored, I helped people fill out forms for like tax paperwork. I, helped man the shelves and did stuff like that for a long time. So I've been exposed to a lot of the library that I don't necessarily utilize. I would say as far as the library system as a whole goes, I'm really a huge fan of its community outreach programs, specifically those for kids. I think that the library really provides just an invaluable resource for families who are getting things like, GEDs, or who need help because they're ESL learners. For me, that's not an abstract, that's something I've seen and I've spent a lot of time with. As far as for resources I personally use, I love, I love the opportunity to go to community events. I don't do that terribly often, but when they do something interesting, like have a speaker come in to talk about, deforestation maybe, or something like that, I love using those opportunities. But I do just most really enjoy the ease of accessibility. So I really love having easy access to online resources that I can access from my home. It's so easy. I lay in bed and I can read an ebook from the library. It's great. I have a lot of love in my heart for the library system. I know how much good it does. I've seen librarians going out of their way to help their homeless patrons, to help people find access to social services. I have taught community ed. I love the library system because the library system is more than books. And those resources tend to be ones that I don't necessarily need to use, but I would not give them up for anything. Okay, I'm gonna put my shoes on and let's go on a field trip. So we got back just in time, which is great because it is about to start thunderstorming any second. The kitties are glad that I'm home in time. They don't like the thunderstorm. And it wasn't a terribly successful trip, but I didn't really have a plan going in. I know next month, or this month I guess, is the Reading Rush Marathon, or Readathon, which is formerly the Booktubeathon, and I wanted to go see if I could find something for that. My plan was to see if I could find a book to movie adaptation or something that had a non-human first or main character. And I'm making that one a little hard on myself because I'm just gonna go ahead and DQ anything where the main character is a vampire or like a, I don't know, a werewolf. Human, that's human enough. But I did pick up The Princess Bride, which I'm looking forward to reading because next month they are doing The Princess Bride as the movie in the park, so I can go and watch it outside, which sounds lovely. There you go, guys. Well, let me know if you've done the library lovers tag. I'm gonna go ahead and tag. Problem is that I don't know who's done it. I'm gonna tag SFF 180, and I'm going to tag, I'm gonna tag Paul from Common Touch of Fantasy. He hasn't made videos in a while, so I don't know if he would make one for this, but if he does, Paul, consider yourself tagged. So you guys know the drill. Leave a comment down below. Let me know how your week's going. If you want to follow me around on the internet, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to the channel here. And if you are looking for ways to support me, you can go on over to my Patreon. See you later.